thank you for coming here, talking to Thinkly and our community. It's really a privilege to have somebody of your caliber take the time and give us your insights and your experience for the industry.
Thank you so much for being here.
So hi
And
guys, you since you guys are joined here, you guys know I don't think Sanjukta ma'am needs any kind of introduction, but we'll just give you a short. She has over 20 years of experience in journalism, primarily in the entertainment industry, and she's also the former editor of Mint Lounge. Please, ma'am, if you want to talk to our community or say anything to them, please feel free.
that's enough. That's more than enough. That's fine. Yeah. I've been a film critic for about a decade now, and currently I am a film critic and columnist with moneycontrol.com.
Right, with Money Control. I mean, yet another huge name in addition to Mint Lodge. I mean, it's such a huge privilege, and that you've taken the time and talk to a community.
Thank
And
you.
I mean,
Thank you so much.
I think we've always.
I'm loving to be.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, carry on.
I think it's just because I think for general of us, we kind of always seen it from this angle. We read the film reviews, we see the read the articles and everything like that. I don't think we've ever thought about or ever understood how the industry works from that side. So thank you for taking the time. And so I was thinking maybe we can just start with a bit of a rapid fire, just to
Sure.
some quick questions and answers, just
Sure.
to. So. First question, which is your favorite Hindi movie of all time?
Of all time? Wow, that's tough. The favorite Hindi movie of all time. I love Ketan. I love so many are coming to mind. Jane Bhi Do Yaro is a all-time favorite.
Amazing movie.
Then I love a lot of Shah Rukh movies. I mean, Dilwale, I mean, even if not favorite, it was like an event for us, when Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge came out in the 90s, 1995, I think. It was a milestone, like watching Hindi movies and having that kind of a hero in this newly globalized India. He represented that whole spirit. And yeah, that's a memorable movie. I'll never forget that movie. There's so many. I love so many of Shyam Benegal's movies among Bollywood, Rajkumar Hirani movies. It's literally impossible to just name one movie. Sorry.
No, definitely understood. I mean, thank you for giving those options. I think this kind of sets up our weekend watch list, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Try out Jaane Jaan this weekend on Netflix.
Definitely. I remember Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge. It basically, I think, defined the the movie industry for the entire next decade or so.
Yeah,
it was the movie to live up to.
Yeah, and just Shah Rukh's arrival on the scene as this hero who represents a lot of things, right? He represented brands, the fascination with brands. He represented a kind of love which is very sort of classic Bollywood, but at the same time in a new garb. Yeah, it was a seminal movie. Yeah.
Definitely. So, flipping that around, what do you think is the worst movie you've ever seen?
All of
The first thing
Sajid
that comes
Khan's
to mind.
movies. All of Sajid Khan movies. I hate them. And the worst, huh? Very difficult to pick like that.
I think the first answer that you gave
but
is
generally movies of, I think most movies of 80s, 90s where the woman is just hanging around as some prop, and the boy's interest, and even if she's doing something, once she meets the hero, her entire life changes and she becomes this doting fangirl. And yeah, those movies I don't like at all. Fortunately, things are changing a lot. Yeah,
in fact, even
but Sajid
for
Khan's
today's
movies, I hate them. Yeah.
valid opinion.
And in that mold the other ones as well.
I mean, I think like because there used to be a thing that women used to be like basically a prop for the main character,
Yeah,
either a plot device or like just something pretty to look at. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm as you said, like it's very glad, especially for, like for women to seek that kind of a representation now. Like some of the
yeah,
roles that Deepika Padukone is doing,
yeah,
Alia Bhatt,
yeah,
Ali Bhatt is like they have actually characters, they have actual this. So I mean, and especially now looking back at those kind of movies where women had no
yeah.
role,
Hmm.
it's kind of
No, I mean
jarring.
there are of course exceptions, like Shri Devi, for example. Chalbaz. Uh,
Right.
it's a movie helmed by one woman in two roles, and it was a super hit. And Shri Devi was phenomenal. I mean, she could just hold a movie on her own. It's not like every decade has bad movies and good movies, actually, but a certain type of movie defines, I guess, an era, because predominantly, largely, those kind of movies get made, especially in the mainstream. And the non mainstream, of course, has always been experimental, brave, bold, interesting, always, you know? So I mean, today's actresses, of course, I mean, it's so heartening to South, even regional movies, you'll see very interesting roles for women. Women are just they're leading the movie. You don't need no longer need a hero to sort of uh, be like sort of get you tickets, or on Netflix or Prime Video. It's a lot of women centric movies have come now, and I mean, it's normal, right? That's the way it should be. I wouldn't say I celebrate that. It's finally happened, thank God.
It's about time.
Yeah.
Long time in the making.
Yeah, long time in the.
Definitely. So you just, which director do you admire the most?
Oh, there are quite a few Indian directors, you mean, right? You're talking about Indian directors?
Either one is fine. I mean, if you want to give one Indian and one international, that's also fine. Or whoever,
Yeah.
like, even if just.
Let me just talk about recent stuff, because if you take the history of film, that's so huge, it's just
You're right.
impossible to pin down one name. Let me talk about the last maybe 5 years. Yeah.
Sure.
A very promising Indian filmmaker is Chaitanya Tamhane. He has made this movie called Court, and the second one is called The Disciple. It's not yet on so many OTTs, but he's a very, very brilliant filmmaker. I love the films of Sujit Sarkar also in the mainstream scenario, like Piku and October. And Sujit Sarkar, I love his language. Then Rajkumar Hirani, I like. He's. I don't think technically he's a he really bothers about technique that much. His films are all about the story and what he's trying to say. Um, Very interesting sort of filmmaking, very engaged with society. Uh, Rajkumar Hirani, I love. There are many actually. Um, I love this movie recently that came on Netflix called Kala. Um, it's by this director called Anvita Dutt. Beautiful movie, very original language and very original voice. So yeah, there's so many. I like Christopher Nolan, all-time favorite. Steven Spielberg. Um, yeah, so many. There are many indie
Steven Spielberg is
filmmakers.
so in a different category.
Yeah, yeah. For me, he can do no wrong. Yeah,
Definitely. So that's good. I mean, like I've heard of a couple of these movies, but I don't think I've had the chance to check them out. But definitely now, with especially
yeah,
Kala and all of those, I'll definitely check out.
yeah.
Is there any favorite Hindi movie dialogue that you like, resonates with you or you just sticks out in your mind, just off the top of your head?
Okay, right now I am thinking Jawan. uh, बेटे बेटे को हाथ लगाने से पहले बाप से बात कर.
Nice. That was a very impactful dialogue,
Yeah,
especially the way
yeah,
I think Shah Rukh delivers it. I'm like,
yeah,
that's key Shah
yeah.
Rukh.
Mm.
Which scene has made you cry the most?
Uh, Recently, I recently watched a movie called Kalki in it. I forget names. Give me 2 minutes. I'll tell you. Um, it's a movie with Kalki Koechlin and Dipti Naval. Goldfish. It's called Goldfish. Oh my God, I cried so much in the end. It released and I think it may have gone from the theaters, but I think look out on the OTTs, it'll come. It's a good movie. Directed by
Definitely.
Pushan Kripalani.
Good.
Yeah.
Noted.
Yeah.
Which movie has had the biggest impact on your life that you think?
Hmm. Biggest impact. I think the reason I became a film critic is because I watched Godfather. You know, it just like the whole trilogy sort of. I watched it numerous times. I think I know them scene by scene. Um, just the just the rigor and the storytelling and of course the characters, everything falls into place. And I think that's when that film sort of convinced me that I want to explore this medium. It's so much is possible. And also Doordarshan, when we were growing up in the 80s, we watched a lot of good movies in the afternoons from all over India. Even evenings, prime time, we saw good movies, and the 70s, 80s parallel cinema directors, we saw those movies on television. So my film sort of education was watching those films. Yeah. So, I mean, a film like Drokal, which came out in the 80s, that those kind of movies impacted me a lot. A lot of Ray movies. I have the entire collection at home. Also, Ray also I got introduced pretty early in life because of family's interest in Bengali movies and all that. So yeah, quite a few, but like I think after watching Godfather, I kind of thought to myself it'd be interesting to write about movies like this. But unfortunately, I mean, most movies you watch are really bad. So you have to endure a lot of shit to kind of get to that like one great movie to write about, right? So yeah. But
Yeah.
overall it's great fun. I love it.
Nice, nice. I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, like, I think we all think about, like, how amazing it would be to, watch movies for a living as opposed to, I mean, of course, there's more
Yeah.
nuance than that, but I
Yeah.
think that's the general perception
Yeah.
for,
And believe me, that can get boring unless you're really, really passionate about your work and you really like want to do this. It can be very tiring and very, very tedious, to watch movie after movie. I mean, I no longer do that. I am in a position right now where I can like maybe choose what I want to review. But yeah, for 10 years
no,
I did a
definitely. And
lot.
I think, yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine because I think what happens is, like, even though you like the idea of it, watch movies for a living, but then you
Yeah.
have to dissect it, deep dive,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of that. So you're not never watching the movie just for entertainment at anyway. You always have that, I think, mental thing going. I think only writers can understand that. You always
Yeah.
dissecting the,
I remember once in Mint, I was a film critic for Mint. So I remember once watching, I think Houseful 2 or something it was. I came back and I told my editor that I don't think I can write this. Like, what is the point of like, just saying trash it, like trash, trash. That is also not fun after a point. And I said, like, why don't you that space which is there in the paper for the film review? I said, just leave it blank. That's like that says enough about the movie. It's like we have nothing to say. It's so bad. Yeah. So
that's the thing hilarious. I mean, that if you that I think that brings it to that point, if you have nothing good to say nothing at all.
yeah, really. Now I feel like that. And when I started out, it used to have it be kind of fun to sort of take down movies. I would say honestly, yeah, at that time it was a thing. You're young and but like after a point, it's like no, I don't want to do that. Like if I don't have anything to say about a movie, like yeah, why
And I think
write about?
nowadays, especially with the amount of movies coming out, that's
Yeah,
happening more and more frequently because the movies are
true,
being made just for just for break the cinemas or make money, or they don't have anything
true.
good to say or anything like, story wise to add to value. They're just being
Hmm.
made for entertainment purposes. So
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think,
one doesn't have to. I think entertainment purpose is a good enough purpose. I respect that purpose, but even for entertainment, one has to have a semblance of a character, a semblance of a storytelling style. If none of that is there, then yeah, then you kind of pointless it is, right? Waste
right.
of
I mean, it's
money.
just true.
Yeah.
So we just close out the rapid fire with just one question. Last question. It's like, which is the
Mm.
one Hindi movie that you think you would recommend to Gen Z, which you think every Gen Z should watch?
Okay. Mm, I mean, I'd probably say something slightly older. You mean not from now or now
Something
or
that like like either way. I mean,
something?
whichever you think is
Yeah,
something that you think that they
yeah.
wouldn't have otherwise watched, but they should.
Hmm. I mean, what Jaane Bhi Do Yaro it's an amazing black comedy. It's so brilliantly written, so brilliantly acted, and it's so fun and the humor is so amazing. I highly recommend that to Gen Z. To know also that Bollywood can do black humor. You know, there were people who did stuff like that. Um, and then maybe like some series I can recommend.
Please, 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 please.
Recently on Netflix I really loved Kohra. I highly recommend Darlings, Alia Bhatt and Shefali Shah.
That did
um,
really well in the this like a lot of people were praising it in the
yeah, and there's a great film. It's a kind of a dacoit western set in the Chambal Valley, Son Chiriya by Abhishek Chaube. It's a if you watch that movie, it's kind of like a you can understand film craft. Like it's such a beautifully crafted film. Son Chiria. Yeah. I said
yeah.
many names. You only wanted one. Yeah.
No, no, please. I mean, we always
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
because I think, especially for Gen Z, and even I think millennials to some extent, we spend so much time
Yeah.
watching like privileged stuff, which doesn't actually add any kind of this. I mean, it's definitely good to
Yeah.
have all of these names, to watch.
Yeah. And just I'm sure there's so many others I can recommend, but at this point nothing is coming to mind. So
I mean, I'm pretty sure you have like a whole encyclopedia
yeah,
in your.
I have so many names. Yeah, a lot of yeah.
So I think we just get to some of the questions that our
Mm,
community has shared. So first
sure.
of all, like they started with their messaging, hello ma'am, it's great to speak to you. Thank you, privileged to speak to
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you for joining in.
So the first question is from Alavia. It's like, we'd love to hear about your movie review process. How do you dive into analyzing and critiquing a film? Any special rituals or secrets that you like to share?
Hi, Alaya, right? Alaya.
Alavia.
Alavia. Hi, Alavia. Thanks for joining, and a great question to start off the session. Um, so I don't have really a process, one particular process or ritual that I follow. See, I did my master's in journalism from New York University. There, my specialization was cultural reporting and criticism. So, film reviewing was one of the modules I had taken. So, I have actually learned how to kind of in university how to write reviews of art, movies, and stuff. But the main thing about I think critiquing a film is how you watch it. You know, the way you watch, you train your eye to watch the film uh, in a particular way. You have to pay attention to not just the acting or the music, the obvious parts, but how they have sort of designed the sequences, how the editing is, what the pace is, how what the cinematographer has tried to capture, what kind of visual language, what is the visual template of the film. So you try to look for details. In fact, I have this one little sort of lamp, like those mini lamps. I take to the review, the preview the screening. I to the screenings, so I jot down. I jot down a lot of points actually. of those things, those details. But when I come to write, I start with overall what I think of the movie. I'll have a big perspective on the. It's not about like or dislike. When I'm writing it, as a film watcher myself, personally, I may like and dislike. But even if I dislike, when I write about it, I have to explain my opinion. Right, that is the main thing. So I start with the helicopter view, like say for Jawan. Jawan for me was vigilante, and why is the vigilante so relevant today? Okay, so that is the big idea I came from, and after that I fill in all those details, right? Then I go into the details. My first para always will be about, usually, not always, about the sort of like the what the film represents overall, right? So you keep in mind context also, like Jawan. I mean, we have a long tradition in India of vigilante dramas. Amitabh Bachchan did it in the 80s, Rajnikant all his life. Um, so so that perspective is very important, the helicopter perspective. So I think film reviewing is about watching, train yourself to watch a movie for all its details. And then every writer has a style. So every writer will write their own way. I don't have in terms of just how to sort of do the writing, I never have any template for that. Look, movie wise, I just start and it flows. I mean, I don't, every film review of mine will have different structures. Sometimes I do like first person. Sometimes I don't do first person. It depends on the movie also. So, and the most the thing to remember as a film critic is about the films that you like, to be cautious, not to gush without reason. That also you have to explain. If you're saying a movie is, you can't say a movie is horrible. You have to say what went wrong in the movie. You have to go into the details of what is bad, what is good. Otherwise, it makes no sense. Like, adjectives are not really the thing. You can't say it was a great movie. You can say it's a movie that craftily brings out the best and worst of human behavior. I'm just giving you an example. Why is it good? So yeah, those are the things I keep in mind: context, the big picture, the details, and explain your opinion. It's not just about giving the opinion; it's about explaining why you think so that the reader can decide on their own.
Amazing. I mean, as we were discussing before, having all of that deep done, I think it's not easy for anybody else to do. I think, we think it's easy, okay, you watch a film, you write about it, and that's amazing. But to understand all those nuances and to write about
to do it well, I mean, to do a job well, anything, I mean, film critic or whatever, to do a job well, it's practice, right? It's practice and practice over years.
So I think a similar question from Rahila. She has a follow-up on that. It's like, being a film reviewer must be a blast, but it also comes with challenges of balancing your personal preference. How do you keep your own movie biases in check while striving to give an honest, objective review?
I think a lot of what I just said has that answer. Thanks, Rahila, for the question. So yeah, I mean, how to keep. See, you have to remove yourself. You have to somewhat remove yourself from what you're going to write, because you're writing about the movie for a wide spectrum of audiences, right? And it's again also one person's point of view, right? So in that kind of subjective opinion and sort of writing for so many people, is giving your opinion for so many people, that responsibility, and that is like when I started out, that was pretty tricky. I think I went all out, just like giving my personal opinion. Like some of the reviews were ranty. I used to love taking down films. Over the years, I think it's sort of changed to giving more importance to thinking about the movie, how I watch it, and how I think about it. So I take some time to think about the sort of the big picture, the context, and then I go into, and as I said, explaining opinions. An opinion is not enough. You have to explain your opinion, why you think so.
Completely valid, I
It's
think.
also practice. It's again practice, and your editor counts too. Where you start out, if the editor is good, uh, you will learn fast. I would
Very valid. We have a couple of SRK fans here. So Neha is like, Jane Bhi Do Yaro is a cult SRK love.
Yeah, yeah.
And, and Austin is thank you for the opportunity. And what are your thoughts on Jawan? Worth the hype?
Mm, yeah, yeah. I think Jawan is kind of worth the hype. I'm saying I'm a forever Shah Rukh fan, but that's a personal thing, right? So, but I think Jawan did something at this point in Indian cinema. It brought back the vigilante. If you see the 70s, when around emergency, a lot of vigilante films came out, right? And now again, okay, so it may have something to do with slightly oppressive times, divisive times, a lot of resentment among people, which are not getting the outlet to express. So you have this guy who's your superhero and superstar for the longest time. Everybody's darling, including NRIs. Come and say, I am going to fight the battle for you. For me, the best part of Jawan is the fact that it engages with politics, society. The rest of it is pretty bad. I mean, it's really sort of, in terms of like how it's structured, the screenplay, every other scene is a slow motion. It's a typical pulp South Indian action movie, right? But its importance is in that vigilantism. It said something about India, and it resonated with a lot of people. Everybody has resonated with. To the most elite sort of movie watcher who doesn't go, only watches Hollywood, to your, a guy who's maybe, working on the roads and, or he's driving an auto. So yeah, that's the power of cinema. And I think I think the movie showed us that if you're taking up things that resonate with a cross section of people, and if you engage with the larger world, people love it. And I think this kind of people were looking for an outlet to say things like this, and they found one in Shah Rukh's character. That's the importance of Jawan. And of course, Bollywood, like, how can I forget the money? I mean, Bollywood needs, after the pandemic, it went through a slump, and then it's slowly coming up. And these two movies, Pathan and now Jawan, it's made the industry so much money. It's great news, right, for people working there.
I think that's what I was going in my mind also. Like, in addition to the vigilantism, it's kind of brought back Hollywood, Bollywood in such sense.
Yeah.
Like, Bollywood was
going back to theaters.
Yeah. Exact. Amazing. And Shah Rukh, I think, is doing what he did with movies before, since Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Ke kind of defined the 90s. I think his movies are kind of defining the 2020s to some extent.
I mean, what he said always in interviews is that he always wanted to be an action hero. But it's just that one movie happened, and then he became sort of pigeonholed in this lover image, the romantic hero. But yeah, I mean, and also another thing about Jawan is like this 58-year-old man doing this kind of impossible stunts, and that the energy and the spirit itself I find quite inspiring about Shah Rukh.
So, ma'am, it's almost one now. But I was hoping if you have some few minutes, would it be okay if we continue? Because we have a lot more questions.
Yeah, just 5 to 10 minutes I can be here.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. So we'll just take up this question from Deepak. I recently saw this series, Bombay Meri Jaan. KK is awesome as always. Just wondering if it's based on the Dawood story.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's your name? Sorry. What is the name you said? Deepak. Hi, Deepak. Thanks for the question. But sorry, I haven't watched Bombay Meri Jaan yet. So I won't be able to answer that question. Sorry.
No problem. So then we'll take up a question from Neha. It's like, do you have any pressures to get movie reviews out? And is there any truth to the stories that about movie reviews being paid for?
Hmm. I kind of expected that question. Thanks for asking it, Neha. Um, so personally, I don't know any film critic. I'm part of this community and of film critics. Personally, I don't know anyone who takes money for film reviews. And so I can't say. I mean, it's rumors. What you know, I also know. Nobody has ever told me. Nobody has ever offered me money to review a film and give it a good review. I have never been offered. I have never been told by any newspaper editor, and I have not been told by my film critic friends that they get paid or they have been offered. Okay, but pressure pressure wise, yes, a lot of film critics, I think, when there's a lot of hype about a film and when it's high stakes, when it's got big names, a lot of film reviewers, I think they approach critiquing as um, ये तो अच्छा ही होगा. It'll be good only, you know. And you don't want to be in the bad books of the big names. ये होता है. It's a very common thing. Many film critics approach approach the job as, I love the movie. Okay. Some of us, there are many of us who go with the opposite approach. You know, we say that, okay, let's be skeptical. Let's see what it is. You know, hype hai to kya hua? Let's see. That is the right attitude, I feel. Yeah, pressures. Sometimes editors can put pressure about if you're going too harsh on a film review, editor can say pipe it down. Yeah, those kind of minor pressures may be there. But being paid, I don't know of any instances personally. Just like you have heard, Neha, I have also heard.
So another question from Alaya, for all aspiring film critics out there, what nuggets of wisdom or advice can you toss their way? Any do's and don'ts for those looking to break into the industry?
Mhm. So first would be, why ask yourself this question: why do you love cinema? What is the reason you like movies? Okay, that's a question you have to ask yourself. And if that reason is strong enough, or it's abiding enough for yourself, then you sort of try and get to the stage of uh, trying to sort of place a movie in a context, right? Context. So a very ordinary film review will say, this film is about this, and it has these actors. They acted well. The director did a good job. It looked nice. The music is great. Okay, that also is a film review, but it's just a quick take on a film. A review has to give you context. Like, for example, Jawan. So where are we placing Jawan? So there is north-south, a lot of north-south crossover happening. So one context is that. The other context is the vigilante, the relevance of the vigilante drama. Then Shah Rukh in his 50s, the superstar. So there are these big ideas, and that context you have to think first, right? And then from there, you go into the details. And as I said, explain opinion. You can never say it's a horrible film. Why is it horrible? You know? And it always it comes with practice. And another thing is, read good film reviews. I can suggest a book to you. I have that whole collection. It's a collection of reviews and essays on movies by this American critic, Pauline Kael, Pauline, Pauline Kael, Kael. So the name of the collection is For Keeps. So it's a big book. She was a critic for the New Yorker and various other publications. And she writes movie reviews without that kind of very academic kind of, like using hi-fi language, and to make, instead of making it dense, she makes the movie experience like almost like a community experience. I am one of you watching it, and yet there's such great opinion, insight, and context in her reviews. She's my hero when it comes to film reviewing. So I mean, I have tried to emulate her a lot in my reviews. Yeah.
Nice. I think that's the thing. Like, a lot of people tend to focus on jargon and like to
Yeah.
to kind of share their knowledge. Like, I
Yeah.
know this, I know this. But as opposed
Mm.
to, there are others who try to like, connect
Yeah.
with the audience.
Yeah. And big ideas, explaining big ideas in simple language is like, I think, the biggest challenge for a journalist and a critic.
I think for anybody, at any like,
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can only show that you understand a topic if you can explain it to some, like, simplify it
Yeah.
and explain it to somebody.
Right.
Exactly. So I think follow up to that question is like, where do you recommend studying film reviewing? Any specific universities or courses in India or abroad?
In India. Yeah. In India, I believe Indian Institute of Mass Communications is pretty good in Delhi. Um, there is also Asian School of Journalism, but I don't know. Uh, Xavier's Institute in Bombay, the Xavier's Institute of Mass Com, I think, uh, they also have a module on film reviewing and film this thing. I studied in New York University. That was an MA, and they have this super specialization in MA journalism called cultural reporting and criticism. So there, film reviewing is part of that course. So uh, that's my college. I'll always recommend that.
And NYU has a great name. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in a different level. Okay, so I think we'll just close out with one last question since it's already
Mm,
we've taken way too much of your time.
sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
so we have a question from Shanaya. It's like, how, with the advent of social media and AI and technology, how do you
Mm,
think, film industry has changed over the years, and
mm.
where do you see it going? Like, how do you think the development of social media, the this and AI is gonna, what impact will it have on industry?
Mm. So social media, I mean, specifically in movies, the uh, influence of social media. Uh, Social media is just everywhere in every aspect of our lives. So, films are no different. But yeah, I mean, I think now because of social media, a lot of movie stars have lost that mystique, right? So they are putting out cooking videos, makeup videos, their holiday videos, everything we know about them. So that mystique is gone, and I think that may not be a bad thing actually. So then you kind of actually, when you go to their movies, you just expect them to just do that job, right? You're not like, them, you kind of know them. Otherwise, you're just looking for what they're good at. Social media, I would say, is great. Among film reviewers, I think it sometimes it becomes a disadvantage for us because before the review is out, you see so much of opinion that people may not want to even read your reviews. But that's everywhere. That's with all journalism, right? Even with news, with anything, business journalism, it's everything. Social media is first. WhatsApp, social media is first, and then comes. So it sort of has opened up, I think, the space to do more reflective, longer analytical pieces instead of just a quick take. The quick take is already there. So what you write has to have that like sort of bigger perspective and that more helicopter perspective. And at this stage in my career, I love that because that's the next frontier for me as well as a journalist and critic. So that's social media. AI, I mean, the biggest impact of AI and technology is going to be on VFX, right? Uh, we might have, like, the movie industry all over may have uh, people who work in VFX. So their VFX require armies of people, right? It's a lot of super specialized jobs. But the guys who do the basic job in VFX, their jobs may not be relevant anymore, right? AI can take care of all the basics, right? So yeah, I mean, a lot of people's jobs are at stake. The Hollywood screenwriters strike. Uh, One of the things they're talking about is AI and how AI is going to change writers, the movie making. There are definitely threats to some jobs because of AI. But at the same time, I think AI is going to teach filmmakers something new that they don't know yet, and probably the focus on quality and point of view, which only a human, like quality. By quality, I mean your point of view, your how sophisticated you are as thinkers, and those kind of things which can only come from a human brain perspective. The emotional perspective of things. AI cannot do that. So I think those things will take center stage when it comes to human effort, right? Even in movie making. So I expect in the next decade, I expect subjects which were never told in cinema before to come in. And of course, formats will change. 3D may have more sort of more immersive experiences we can expect from 3D. But yeah, AI is going to teach us something that we don't know. But yeah, it's a little bit scary. It's a bit scary. Yeah.
I was just having the same conversation with somebody else, and we came like, it's wonderful and worrying at the same time.
Yeah, true. It's great, and at the same time, it's threatening also.
It's going to change, completely change, like, I think every part of our lives as we have known it so far. But that can be, I think, a good thing or a bad thing depending on how we take it
again,
and how.
I always say this, like when a movie is about to begin, the theater is dark, and your heart races, right? It's the mind does, at least. I'm very excited to watch movies, so that feeling, and then it just starts. I mean, that's a feeling that no technology can probably give you. To be like in that dark theater with a lot of people and going through that emotional journey, I love it. There's no replacement to that.
True. I mean, I think, which is why I think now people even are going back to it, because it's like, reawoken in within themselves.
Yeah.
That experience.
Yeah,
well, ma'am, we've taken way too much of your time. Thank you so much for
Thank you so much.
being
this was
here.
Lovely. Yeah, it made me also think a lot of things about my own profession. So thank you so much. I thank all of you who have joined. It was lovely.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.